I think it's true of all of us that through these months, these long months of the pandemic, our world has shrunk. My world certainly has. At times I feel like a Carthusian monk, confined to my cell, so small has my world become. However, here this morning and in this grand building, we celebrate the fact that we are part of something unspeakably vast, a story, if you will. We are a small part, each of us, of a very grand story, which in the end is the story of God. However, on the way to God, it's the story of others. It's the story of the Archdiocese of Brisbane. Today we think of Bishop Quinn because we think of the Quinn medalists, the medal being named in honour of the first Bishop of Brisbane, who was appointed in 1859 and didn't arrive until 1861. And when he did arrive, his first question was, "Where is the city?" They said, "My Lord, this is it." So Bishop Quinn we think of, and part of the story of the Archdiocese of Brisbane is also St Mary of the Cross MacKillop, patron of the Archdiocese, and today we celebrate the 10th anniversary of her canonisation, and we invoke with new fervour, therefore, her intercession for the Archdiocese of Brisbane. But we look back beyond 1859 and the arrival thereafter of Bishop James Quinn. His brother Matthew was the Bishop of Bathurst. We look back to the long, long and fascinating history of the Church of Ireland, which gave us our first bishops and many of our first people and priests. But that story in turn takes us back to the figure of St Ignatius of Antioch. He who was martyred in Rome, he was the Bishop of Antioch, but he was brought to Rome to be fed to the wild beasts, and it was the wild beasts who did him to death. But we know a great deal about St Ignatius because as he journeyed across the Mediterranean from Antioch to Rome for his martyrdom, he wrote long letters, and they are the most fascinating documents. So we think of Ignatius of Antioch and all of those swept away in the great epic of blood of the early centuries of the Church, so many other martyrs, all of whom, of course, look to the figure of the crucified Christ. And we can't understand the martyrdom of Ignatius or any of them unless we set it against and in the light of the cross of Jesus Christ, because in them we see Christ crucified. Not just Antioch, but Jesus who is crucified and risen, the one whose scars shine like the sun. Jesus, you see, according to Paul, is the one whose fullness fills the whole of creation. That's how big Jesus is, and therefore that's how big the story is of which we are part. And the bequest benefactors and the recipients of the Quinn Medal have a special part in that story. The story of the Archdiocese, but reaching back to the great story of Jesus, whose fullness fills the whole of creation. And we are part of his body, the body of which he is the head. What an extraordinary claim that is. And as part of that body of which he is the head, we are those who have put our faith in the Lord Jesus and who show our love to all the saints, in the words of St. Paul. So I say to you, all of you, but particularly to the bequest benefactors and the recipients of the Quinn Medal, I have heard about your faith in the Lord Jesus and the love that you show towards all the saints, the very practical generosity that keeps the show on the road, and it's not our show. It is the good news of Jesus Christ whose body we are. So we who have put our faith in the Lord Jesus and committed ourselves to a love towards all the holy people of God, we are those who are not only part of this vast story, the story of God in Jesus, but we actually become the story.